Welcome to the MousekaBros podcast. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm his brother Randy. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at the MousekaBros. We'll be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure you subscribe to get the latest podcast. If you have any suggestions for upcoming shows or just want to say hi, you can email us at mousekabrospodcast@gmail.com.
If you're planning your next Disney destination or Universal Orlando vacation, you're going to want to reach out to me, Ryan Noppinger, with Capture the Magic Vacations. You can reach me at ryan.noppinger@ctmvagent.com. This is a no-cost-to-you service to use me as your travel agent. I'll make sure you get the best vacation package or deal for your whole family. I can also help make dining reservations and plan fast passes to make planning your Disney vacation less stressful and more magical.
On today's episode, we talk about the latest Disney live-action remake of Aladdin. But before we begin, we want to put out a spoiler for this movie. If you haven't seen it, you might not want to listen to this podcast.
Not that we're going to spoil, I guess, anything, because, I mean, if you haven't seen the animated classic Disney movie, then
definitely don't listen to this.
Don't.
There are a lot of differences between the animated,
and that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
mostly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And some more, I guess, hot topic issues for this.
Yeah. So,
well,
how are you, Ryan?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. No. Before we get into it, I'm good.
This is exciting. This is like our first movie episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I wanted to do one of these. I think now is a good time to kind of get into it because there's not only this movie, but, like Toy Story is coming out.
Yeah, and all the other live action movies
Actually, will it be out when this episode releases?
I have no idea.
I can't think off the top of my head because it's dates,
and I can't think.
Because it's June 21st. So, yeah, I think pretty darn close to it, but
no.
Maybe
like a week before.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, you have all the upcoming live action, like The Lion King. You have Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which we saw the trailer for at Aladdin, and that looks pretty cool. The Lady and the Tramp, that will be coming out November 12th on the Disney Plus, and Mulan and Cruella, that are kind of in the works right now. So a lot of movies that are upcoming. So good time to really start this kind of MousekaBros at the movies.
Yeah, type of thing. Why not? But we're talking about Aladdin today, not kind of the upcoming movies for it. But kind of to get into it, to kind of, launch our conversation for it. It's kind of interesting just for the opening weekend of it was 86 million at the domestic box office. And overseas was 121 million, which, I mean, to us, they seem like...
That's a lot of money.
Like crazy numbers, right? So worldwide of 207 million just for the opening weekend, which, if you wanted something to compare it to, the animated classic earned 504 million at the worldwide box office. And then Beauty and the Beast, the more recent kind of live action of that, is 504 million also at the box office. Jungle Book at 364 million and Dumbo at 313 million. And to kind of give some just opening kind of week only numbers, Beauty and the Beast was 174 million compared to the kind of 207 million just for Aladdin. Jungle Book at 103 million just for the opening weekend, and Dumbo only at 45 million. So it kind of gives a scale of where this movie is headed, especially by the time this episode comes out. These numbers will be completely different for Aladdin, but just the opening weekend when we saw it, well, our theater was sold out, but not as you would think it was sold out, right?
So we get to the theater and we see that our specific theater has no AC in it.
We're like, it's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot.
Anything in there, what are we going to do?
So we go up to complain, and lo and behold, we are the only ones in there because...
As soon as the AC broke...
They booked all of the movie theater booked all the seats.
Yeah, they closed the theater down, basically. So it was the two of us it was our parents. Well, of course, Amanda, my wife,
Katie, and her parents.
and then Katie's parents.
Yeah.
So it was only 8 of us in this whole entire theater that the movie had just came out, which was pretty awesome. So
and it wasn't too hot. It
no,
got a little
thankfully
warm,
with
but
only 8 of
yeah.
us in there, it was not hot.
Yeah,
at
it was
all.
not bearable.
But it added to the entire experience of seeing Aladdin, especially with me singing in the middle of it, my big duet number. I'm joking. I didn't sing. I wish I should have.
The weirdest part is that there was only 8 of us, but when Aladdin and Jasmine get on the magic carpet and they went through like the waterfalls, like I felt like a mist kind of hit me as if I was on like the Avatar ride.
Oh, that's because we threw water at you.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, we sat in front of you.
That's gross. That's gross. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize this was a 4D movie.
Disney stepped up their effects.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was nice. It was cool. Yeah.
Well, so talking about these numbers, and talking about Dumbo specifically, because Dumbo came out just a couple months before Aladdin. Ryan, do you think that there needs to be more live action movies? Is that the way that Disney's kind of heading to remake all of the stuff and get away from that animated side?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're definitely going to keep the animated side of it, especially with, off the top of my head, Wreck-It Ralph. That kind of was successful.
Onward is a new animated. Well, that's Pixar.
Yeah, that's Pixar.
But still,
yeah. But I think it comes down to what live action, what they make, who the character is, and what classic animated film they make. And when you think of classic animated films, you think of Beauty and the Beast, you think of Aladdin, you think of The Lion King. Those are kind of top contenders for me when I think of it, at least at first. And then, if somebody's like, oh yeah, name, an older classic live action movie, then you start thinking of Dumbo, or maybe The Jungle Book. Kind of those older, not, maybe like mid-90s movies.
Now, do you think Dumbo didn't do well because it was Dumbo live action, or because kind of what they did to the story?
It could. I mean, I haven't seen Dumbo, but I know Tim Burton was very heavily involved in it. I think he directed, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Director produced.
Yeah.
One or the other. I
think they were maybe planning too much on that, having that carry all the weight of this movie, which, of course, it didn't go as planned because it's only has 113 million, at the box office, which is pretty low compared to, the other live action movies that we kind of went over.
Right. Well, I mean, because with Dumbo, they kind of changed it completely and made it more about Dumbo an elephant and not Dumbo the elephant. If that makes sense. Like it was like Dumbo didn't talk. It had nothing to do. It was more about the humans kind of coming together and helping an elephant named Dumbo, if that makes sense. So I feel like changing the story too much strays away from
at least the fan part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they still want to see the old movie just kind of redone with new technology, not a whole new concept. Even though, like in Aladdin, which we're gonna get into, they took distinctive liberties.
I think it'll be interesting, especially for the ones that come up. I mean, we talked about, The Lion King. That kind of goes off the animated classic film. But Maleficent, is kind of their new kind of gateway to, let's expand on maybe some of these other stories that we haven't told, but make them live action. And that was and is a perfect kind of, scene for that. And especially for when, Cruella comes out. That's even more of just a let's dig into this. Is this something new, that they can get into? What I think, at least my question overall is, or at least I hope they, don't get into it too much. But when the classic animated movies came out and everybody loved them and they were like, we're making so much money on these, let's go ahead and throw a Cinderella 2 in there.
Straight to DVD.
Pocahontas 2. I hope they don't do that with the live action, like, Aladdin 2 or, The Lion King 2. Maleficent, I can kind of see that because it's its own story, right? but
it's not a they're not remaking a story into live action.
Exactly. It is a fresh take, a fresh, kind of movie, even though the first Maleficent kind of went into the Sleeping Beauty, but wasn't heavily involved in
right.
it. Right.
It was Maleficent side. It wasn't Sleeping Beauty live action.
It was a nice balance between
absolutely
both of those stories, which I hope they get into more. It'll be very, very interesting to see what comes out on the Disney Plus streaming service with The Lady and the Tramp, live action remake. I think they're coming out with a couple more live action remakes.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I'm sure they're coming out with a lot.
Yeah, but I think that will be kind of the front ground of maybe some of these other live action films that, they don't want to put into a big, production for a movie and just have it on the Disney Plus streaming service, which will be really, really awesome. So I guess to dig more into the movie and not just talk about, kind of the live action movies, what did you think about Genie's romance?
I kind of liked it. In the beginning, you get the genie kind of setting the tone, setting the setting. And it was interesting that they were on a boat because it was supposed to be, the animated place in the middle of the desert. So it was already interesting that they put it kind of on a bay, almost. And then you had the genie talking to his kids and his wife, and him setting up the story as him telling the story of Aladdin to his kids. And then it kind of goes into his whole romance and how he meets his wife and stuff. So I actually kind of liked it because it made it feel more realistic almost.
Yeah, like she was set free, I guess.
Right. It made sense in the story.
Yeah, he made a life for himself. At first I didn't know who the wife was. I was like, oh, he has a wife. But then, as soon as I get to know kind of the, handmaid of Jasmine, I'm like, that was Genie's wife from the beginning, wasn't it? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's all, okay, so that's all kind of connected.
Yeah, and then it all comes together.
You know how it's going on.
Yeah.
And, because, of course you've seen the movie, but this kind of new, romance between the genie and the handmaid it wasn't off-putting, I guess, to say it.
It wasn't done in a bad way. They didn't force it. It wasn't like here's his romance and we're never going to mention it again. They mentioned it throughout the movie. It was one of the plot points to it of how Aladdin and Jasmine get to be alone together because the genie goes and distract the lady that he's falling in love with. So they used it in the movie, so it just made sense, and I think they did it really well.
So I guess then keeping with the genie kind of role on it, a big topic at least I have been hearing and being talked about, the whole kind of Will Smith, Robin Williams thing. To me, off the point, yes, Will Smith is not Robin Williams. It's
what?
It's not the same genie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like that. Will Smith did not try to become the Robin Williams genie. Will Smith took it on himself to become his own genie, and it was definitely the right call.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was his call or the composers or whatever, but they added kind of like a hip hop to most of his songs,
which was refreshing. Which was nice.
Absolutely.
Which fit kind of Will Smith, and if you've ever seen him play in anything or know him, you're like
anything.
Okay, I'm down with a little bit of hip hop.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was done very well. Right. Since we're talking about the genie, what do you think about him being set free? So, in the animated version, he gets set free and he's still a genie. He can do whatever he wants. But in this version, he gets set free and turns into a human. That's very different.
Which I don't know. I've been playing back and forth from it of, he was set free, which yes, made him, human or set free to allow him to do whatever he wanted to. I was very much hoping for the end scene to be, kind of Will Smith back on the boat, wrapping up this story of Aladdin and his kids saying oh, no way, there's no way that's true, genies aren't real or whatever. And then him kind of secretly to the camera doing a quick little magic to show that he still has it, that he's still the genie.
Like a smirk almost.
Yeah.
Because we all know.
I would have absolutely, loved something like that to where, the genie is still the genie.
Right, because
and not just human.
Right, because now it's like if they did make a second one, well, now they have to revert him back to a genie somehow. And
it'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I still have my powers. What is all this about?
Right. So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it made it more realistic, but then also it's like, okay, so he was human, then he became a genie, and now he's human again? You know what I mean? I don't know. Do a whole backstory on Genie
of just a genie. I mean, that would be interesting if it took off.
I don't know. It was just it was very different that they went that way.
But I guess I'm not sad about it. I mean, like, I'm glad they did their own thing and not kept with the original. But I kind of missed him not keeping the magic.
Like, it works for in this movie, but if they take it any further, it just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to the next point, Ryan, if you want to take this.
So next, I guess we'll talk about some Princess Jasmine type of things.
Okay.
She has a song and a kind of a standout song, Speechless. My kind of first initial thing was, I get what they were trying to do, but I don't think it was the right part in the movie to kind of have everybody stop what they're doing and have her sing her song. Everybody kind of, it's weird. Everybody kind of like Avengers disappears in it.
Right.
And then,
I mean, basically.
And then she has her own defining moment, which, throughout the whole movie, which is a different take from the animated classic, she is very much, trying to become her own, I guess, princess. Well, actually, in this case, more of a sultan herself, to have a more political role in it, to having to know her own people, and which again was a refreshing take because you kind of felt that from the animated classic,
right? But they made it very prevalent,
right? Like, I want to get out and enjoy the village, but I can't because I'm a princess. Like, I liked it because it kind of connected. No, I need to know the people more, and that kind of related that way. But going back to the song of it, I mean, did you like it or?
No. And I don't want this to come across as so like the whole song was done for women empowerment, right? Which I completely get. And I don't want this to come off as me saying that we shouldn't empower women. That is not what I'm saying.
Right.
I think the song was forced, right? I'm all for women empowerment. I'm all for equal rights. But the song just didn't fit into the time, into the place, into the setting. Even Katie, we were talking about it afterward. She was like, I mean, it was an okay song. It just didn't feel right.
No, yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. Even though, the lyrics and kind of that rock pop feel to the song was good. It's just the wrong timing, I think, in the movie. Had she been by herself and then started this song, a little bit better.
Right, like because they actually do the song twice. One after she gets dismissed by Jafar and her father, and like it kind of worked there. Like I didn't hate it there, but then when she was being captured and taken away,
and then everything stopped. I think that's what got me.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, what's going on? Like in every Disney movie, when anybody gets their own song, it still advances time. It still advances the plot. They never do like a song and then go back 15 minutes to like the beginning of the song. That makes sense.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that sums up, I guess, my point, very much precisely.
Well, speaking of Princess Jasmine, did you like the change at the end where she actually becomes the Sultan?
Again, I didn't mind it because it wasn't a surprise at the end of the movie, because through the whole movie, she's very much like, like I said, I need to know what my people think, what my people feel, so it's kind of, was slowly kind of hinted at like, oh yeah, let's make her more powerful and let's, I liked it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, this is what I'm talking about. The women empowerment here worked. During this time in Agrabah, you didn't have women leaders. It wasn't a thing. That just wasn't the culture.
Right.
So having her become Sultan was like, oh, whoa, like they actually did that. And that's really cool because it fit her character. It fit the movie, unlike her song.
So sticking with Jasmine and adding in Aladdin now for their love story, how did you feel about kind of the longer duration of Aladdin finding out that Jasmine was the princess and not just a handmaid?
I don't know.
Drawn out?
Yeah,
at
I think
all,
it was
or-
drawn out a little too much. I think in the beginning when it wasn't like that, it was good. I liked it, but then it just kept going on and on and on.
And you're like,
It was
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought when, he kind of walks into the room and he sees her, or I think Jasmine answers the door, and the actual handmaid comes in and is like, oh, oh, who is this or whatever, and she's like, oh, princess, like kind of that. How did he not pick up on like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go take a bath?
Right. I feel like when that happened, I feel like they could
should
have just
spilled it.
They could have just ended it there and her been like, oh no, you caught me in my lie. I'm the princess. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, or him kind of just figuring it out and be like, wait a minute, are you the princess? Like,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
lying? Or, blah, blah, blah. Not Jafar telling, oh, hey, by the way, that girl you've been seeing? Yeah, she's a princess. Wait, what?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like, I don't know. It just felt way drawn out. I feel like...
It was almost pointless to the movie of how long it got drawn out.
Like, he's smart enough to steal off the streets and get away with it, but not figure out who the princess was.
Yeah, he can pick
of
up
all of
social
Agrabah.
cues. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not that we're bashing Aladdin here, but
Yeah, it didn't work.
he's
this
just a street rat.
So I kind of want to talk about, how did you feel about his Aladdin's dance number that he had? It inputted in Bollywood, which is a form of dance that is traditional to the Indian culture. So which I liked, because you can also see in the costuming that it was very traditional, that they were trying to bring aspects of the culture and really make it feel realistic.
Yeah, I think they took it and made it modern for,
Right.
for I guess that time period, but still throwing in some relevant kind of pop current, culture type things, which was done again very, very, very well.
Yeah. Like I really liked how Aladdin and Jasmine had this whole dance number, and it was all Bollywood, because that's how like those interactions would have taken place. That I like that they did kind of modernized it.
Yeah, and not only that, but they expanded on it from kind of the animated film, more of their tradition and culture side of it, rather than just a love story of a street rat and a princess.
Absolutely. All right, so I think this is our last point that we want to talk about. The whole change with Iago. What do you think about him?
I mean, he's a bird, right? So I get that they make him talk.
So actually, we should probably explain the change. That he doesn't talk normal like in the animated. That he's a bird and a parrot, and he only kind of can say like one or two words or like kind of repeat stuff,
Like
but not full blown sentences.
Right, like a parrot. Like if he's heard it before, he'll say it again.
Right.
And that's how it very much felt in the movie. Like, oh, Master's upset. Master's, like that kind of thing. Versus,
That was a good parrot impression, by the way.
thank you. I've been practicing in the mirror. So, but no, I mean, like, I get that, yes, he is a bird, he's a parrot, so let's have him only repeat a few things, a couple sentences. I don't know. I didn't, I guess, mind it.
I kind of didn't vibe with it because it took it away. In the musical, they on Broadway, they actually made him human, and they made like a lot of puns, like Jafar would say, "Oh, stop squawking around," like bird puns, as everyone knows that he was a bird and he's not anymore.
Yeah,
could they have done something like that?
Yeah,
or?
I guess I almost wish they would have just made him a servant, or for Jafar,
or just a bird that can just completely talk, not really make the change that they made.
Right. I mean, I guess the whole conversation comes up is they're coming out with a movie where the animals, and even in Jungle Book, that the animals can have full-blown out conversations.
Right. So, like, you can, for Lion King, you can make the argument, well, they're all animals. So
they all can talk to each other fluently.
But in Jungle Book, there actually is a person who can talk to all of the animals.
Right.
So
I don't know.
I feel like they should have just made him talk because it's that Disney feel. They almost made it try to make it too realistic. But you have a flying carpet and, like, a genie. right? Just keep a talking bird. What's the harm in that?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the equal balance of the argument would be, well, he's a parrot. Let's just have him mimic things that he's heard in the past, or little sentences. So,
could you imagine just a whole live action Lion King where it's nothing but just tigers roaring, just animal noises for a straight hour and a half?
Isn't that
no talking?
Isn't that their movie, like Planet?
But no, but there's there's like Morgan Freeman's narration because he talks and everyone just loves it. I mean, like I do. But like, could you just imagine just a whole movie taking place with just animal noises?
An actual live action Lion King.
Yeah, just like it's actually just planet Earth.
3
That's
cameramen got eaten during this production, but no animals were hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that's how about it would go, and maybe that's why we're all CGI in it right now.
That's right.
Which is completely fine.
Right. Do you have any last thoughts on Aladdin?
No, I liked it. Aladdin is definitely one of my top animated classics that I do enjoy watching.
It's a good one.
Having this live action remake of it kind of made me want to watch now the classic again. Just to rewatch it, just because I enjoy Aladdin. I'll most likely watch Aladdin again, probably more when it comes out on
Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus. I'll most certainly watch it again on Disney Plus because I will definitely be subscribing to that.
Do you think that this makes Aladdin and Jasmine more popular in the parks, or does it really not change it because they're already kind of popular?
No, it doesn't change it. Let's see if they announce a new ride in the Morocco Pavilion anytime soon, but or new experience, which they most certainly could. Yeah. But I liked it. It was a refreshing take on Disney's
on a classic
movie.
Story.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sums it up for me too.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this movie episode, please leave us a review, as it helps us improve the show. And as always, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.